Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. All right. I want to get straight into the stories for today. And the first one, it's a little bit of an offshoot of Friday's deep dive. So I'm going to talk about how Justin Baldoni is now suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their PR team for $400 million in the ongoing It Ends With Us legal battle. Okay, before I get into what he's saying, I knew that Friday's episode would be very divisive because the whole situation around this legal battle, there are a lot of very, very strong opinions, but I did not realize how divisive it would be. I genuinely, I don't know how to accurately convey this, but I genuinely did not try to sway your opinion one way or another. And I'm getting comments. That episode was about celebrity smear campaigns. I genuinely apologize if you feel like we didn't do it justice. That is literally my biggest concern about this brand, this podcast in general. That's one of my biggest insecurities. That's why every time you guys let me know I've made a mistake, or if I discover that I've made a mistake on a story in my reporting, I come on here and I literally immediately address it, or I make a community note or whatever it is. I'll re-edit episodes sometimes. That is one of my biggest concerns. And I also recognize that the people listening to this are probably not the people that have since unsubscribed after Friday's episode. So this is probably landing on deaf ears kind of, but genuinely, that episode was about celebrity smear campaigns, the history of celebrity smear campaigns. I recognize that obviously there was some type of, I talked about how Blake Lively was smeared, but the episode was about online smear campaigns and how we participate in them. And, at the time, the evidence that we had about Justin Baldoni's PR team, specifically, I even indicated in that episode, we have no idea if he was aware of some of these tactics and things that were said between his publicists. That episode was written and released literally, it was released an hour before his lawsuit was made public. And I indicated that in the YouTube comments as well. So I apologize if you think I'm stupid now. And honestly, it genuinely hurt my feelings. But yes, so let's get into the updates. So like I said, on Friday, literally a couple hours after we released that episode, it was made public that Justin Baldoni is suing Blake Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, for defamation and extortion, seeking $400 million in damages, including loss of income. Quote, "This is a case about two of the most powerful stars in the world deploying their enormous power to steal an entire film right out of the hands of its director and production studio," the suit says. Then, when Lively and Reynolds' efforts failed to win them the acclaim they believed they so richly deserved, they turned their fury on their chosen scapegoat. This is something that I think I failed to mention in the deep dive, which is one of the, I think, less talked about elements of this legal battle, is that Justin Baldoni has significantly less power, cultural capital, influence, power in Hollywood and in the public sphere, at least at the time, than Blake obviously did, and Ryan Reynolds and them as a couple. And that is something that you typically don't see, I guess, as far as we're aware of in these kind of celebrity smear campaigns. It typically is the person with more power, who kind of has the upper hand and is helping push that narrative forward. Okay, so this is definitely not everything, but some points from his filing. So Blake's claims that she was shown pornography and subjected to unwanted sexual discussions from Justin are false, the suit claims. Quote, "Lively was so close and comfortable with Baldoni that she freely breastfed in front of him during meetings," the suit says. The suit then claims that Blake took moments like this and recast them as sexual harassment. It also says that, contrary to Blake's claims, every request she made for an intimacy coordinator was honored. In relation to the fat-shaming allegations, Justin claims he has back problems, so he privately and politely asked Blake her weight so he could work with his trainer to be able to lift her safely. Ryan Reynolds then, quote, swore at Baldoni and accused him of fat-shaming his wife. In Justin's complaint, he claims that Blake joked that he needs a nose job. The suit alleges that Ryan Reynolds was responsible for Justin being dropped by his talent agency, WME, claiming he approached an executive and, quote, expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting the agency was working with a sexual predator. He claims Blake didn't read the book, which caused creative clashes. If that's true, that is so wild. But the part of the lawsuit that the internet is absolutely running wild with is this text that Blake allegedly sent to Justin, in which she refers to herself as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones and talks about Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds as her dragons. So she allegedly wrote to Justin, quote, if you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually better. Because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really, we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you. That is unfortunately one of the most cringe things that I think we've ever seen come out of celebrity culture. I've seen so many people be like, you just know Taylor Swift is seething that this text got released and that she is being referred to as one of Blake Lively's dragons. But yes, so that is, again, like a high-level recap of his suit against Blake. And again, I am very sorry if you felt like I was trying to sway you one way or another last week. Obviously, the episode specifically was about celebrity smear campaigns, and I was using what happened to Blake Lively back in like August as kind of a prime example of that. And that was related to like internet culture. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is obviously we're going to talk about the TikTok ban. Okay, so obviously we've been awaiting this TikTok ban, and it happened in the US. It did happen, but it was less than 24 hours. So Annabelle will cover this more in depth on Wednesday's tech update, but I wanted to share some thoughts from like a cultural perspective. I was on a bunch of TikTok lives all Sunday afternoon, just watching Americans get like wiped off the app, like their accounts just get taken down while they were on live. And it was really sad. And it felt like eerie and creepy. They would be on live and then suddenly they would be gone, but their profile picture would just be kind of like where their face was, and the chat would still be going, and people were saying the craziest stuff in the chat. Like people were writing like, diva down, or like, mama, a legislation behind you, like the most insane stuff. And like, it was funny, but it was also sad because a huge part of this whole TikTok ban, and I think we can reflect on it now that it's back up, but like there was almost no communication from TikTok on how this would go down. So creators were kind of aware that they were going to be losing their jobs. Businesses that rely on TikTok were kind of aware that they would be losing this massive influential platform. But there was so little communication around what that would look like and how that would go down. So that, I think, felt a little bit unethical to me. It felt a bit icky because the accounts, unlike I think what we originally thought, which was that they would just get deleted, like American TikTok essentially would get deleted, and if it ever came back, they would have to start from scratch. So that was not the case, right? Their accounts all still existed. They were just locked out of them. And to me, that felt very, not worse, because obviously I don't want anyone to lose their followers or anything like that, but it felt risky, I suppose is probably the right word, because in that case, you know, we as non-Americans still had access to all their content, all their comment sections. We could still duet, stitch, like engage with all of their content, but these creators had probably very little way to know about what was going on TikTok, and B, no way to respond to that or like moderate their comment section. And so if this ban had gone on longer, I think we would have seen some serious consequences of that with like rumors, misinformation, all of these things and, things that could just spread like wildfire, whether it's about a specific creator or just specific information that starts going wild in these comment sections and nobody can stop it because these accounts, they don't have access to them anymore. Obviously, this didn't really end up being an issue because they were only locked out for, such a short amount of time. But if this did last significantly longer, I think that this would have become a problem. Then there was the trend of creators revealing their secrets before the app went dark. So I didn't really take a lot of these secrets that seriously. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a lot of these secrets were kind of like satire. However, I suppose the through line with all of these secrets, I'm sure there's like a shred of truth to all of them. And the through line was that creators are really not as authentic as they pretend to be. So there were a lot of creators claiming that they embellish or lie in their vlogs or their fitness videos or their mukbangs or whatever type of content they create. I think the most damaging was that a few big creators claimed that they lie about brand deals where they haven't even tried the product. And I think even though we all know there is an element of illusion to what we see online, I think hearing from these creators that they've sold us a lie, I don't know how there's gonna be any coming back from that for them. I don't know. And when I say we all know that there's this element of illusion, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like for me, when I watch, day in the life vlogs or morning routines or whatever, I am seeking out the most unrealistic or aspirational ones because I want to use them as inspiration. So I have something that I'm striving for, if that makes sense. However, I am also 33 years old and, I have had time and space to develop my sense of self and just understand my triggers and understand how to interact with online content in a way that is more healthy. But if I was consuming that type of content all throughout my teens and my 20s, I could not have handled it. That would just not have been the case. So I think there's several layers to the impact of these confessions. It'll be interesting to see if in general, audiences lose a lot of trust for specific influencers who claimed that they've been lying about things, or if, these creators have trouble working with different brands in the future and things like that. I think this was such a blip in the radar, at least for now. It's possible that we just kind of move on, business as usual, but we will see. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is it seems like Trisha Paytas and Alex Consani will be starring in a campaign together soon. So the creators were in the UK this week posting content together on a photo shoot in very big glam. Trisha tagged one of her videos, quote, models, and everyone was like, oh my God, what is this about? And now it seems like this photo shoot could have been for an upcoming MAC campaign, as the official MAC Cosmetics TikTok account commented, I think this play is about us. And then Trisha liked it. So if you don't know who Alex is, she's a famous model and a huge TikToker with over 4.3 million followers. She's considered the world's youngest transgender model, starting her career at the age of 12. In 2024, she was also the first transgender model to walk in the Victoria's Secret fashion show. But in the digital space, she's just kind of she's just like an icon. Her content often goes viral. She started this trend in 2023 just from a really random funny video of her swirling this jug of water when she was at a restaurant, swirling the jug of water that they brought her and had a lemon in it. And her caption said, when they be giving me the fancy water. And she was dancing at the table and everyone started recreating that. So people are really excited to see them together. People are really excited to see them getting possibly a big commercial campaign like MAC Cosmetics. That would be so sick. And that would be pretty on brand for MAC. They're usually quite on the pulse with that kind of stuff. At least they have been historically. Okay, and the last story that I have for you guys, this is a trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about alleged child abuse. So TikTok influencer, Australian TikTok influencer, mummy vlogger Allanah Harris has allegedly been arrested. So I covered this story a couple of months ago, but at a high level, Australian mummy blogger Allanah Harris built a following of over 1 million on TikTok for posting family content. A huge portion of her content centered around taking care of their one daughter, who they claimed, her and her husband Brock claimed, was very sick. In November, an anonymous whistleblower claimed that Allanah was making their baby sick intentionally by drugging her. This was seemingly confirmed when Alannah's husband, Brock, posted about it on his Snapchat, saying that he had no part in this. Now, Allanah has reportedly been arrested in Queensland. This is from the ABC, quote, "It is alleged between August and October last year, the woman gave her daughter, who has a medical condition, medications which were not prescribed to her and without medical approval. She allegedly poisoned her daughter and recorded her physical and emotional suffering to elicit donations and is accused of defrauding donors of $60,000 via crowdfunding." This continues. She was charged with several offenses, including multiple counts of administering poison with intent to harm and 1 count each of torture, making child exploitation material, and fraud. So that is an update on the Harris family. This is just such a tragic situation and another example of why children should not be allowed online. Family vlogging should legitimately be illegal. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We love you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.